Yeah, anyone that's under the age of 18, their parents should be aware of the kinds of things that they're watching on the internet. If it's on social media, whatever, the parents need to observe. They need to keep an eye on. They need to supervise their children and make sure that they're not being entertained or they're being exposed to adult um, adult ideas on the internet. So there's adults that are having conversations with other adults, and the people that are youngsters that aren't adults yet, they need to be supervised and watched. And there has to be someone always. If they can't, you just can't let a kid on the internet. That's what I'm saying. You can't just let any kid on the internet and not be supervised. Now, if a parent, if they get caught, if their kid gets, if their child is using using a computer and getting on the internet in their home, and they're not aware of what the child is doing, or they haven't put precautions, they haven't put a lock on their usage of internet usage, or any kind of blocking or anything like that, then they're unfit parents, and they should have social services called on them, and they should say, we're going to take your kids away from you for such and such amount of time until you can get a lawyer and go to court, and you can prove to the judge and the jury that you're raising your children properly, you're supervising your children, you're making sure they're eating correctly and going to and staying healthy and getting an education of some kind, getting some training. And so unfit parents that let their children that are under the age of 18, that let them watch the internet or get on YouTube and just watch people or listen to different random people talking. And the people that are producing the video, they're adult, they're an older person, and they only want to communicate with people that are over 18 and older. So that's all I'm saying. So, and the other thing to keep in mind is I live in a cannabis legal state in the United States. So here where I live in Washington State, you go to the store and you can buy joints, you can buy little bottles of bud, different kinds of buds. You can get like wax and gummies and different kinds of edibles. You just walk right in there and you show your driver's license. Of course, they want to know where you live and what your name is. And it's kind of odd because they have someone at the door, and you show your driver's license to that person. Then you go inside, and when you're at the counter and you're ordering your intoxicants, then they ask to see your ID again, a different person. So the bud tender sees your name and where you live, and the person that's at the door sees your name and where you live, and they ask for my phone number too. And I always say, nah, I mean, you already know my name and where I live. So, and it's like, now I got random people that are messaging me. They have somehow random people get my phone number, people that I don't know get my phone number. And then they text me, about something, and I did not contact this person. I've never met this person. I've never given out my phone number just anywhere to anyone randomly. So if someone knows my full name, so if someone goes on the county and they go to the website on the county and they look up tax ID for your house, they'll see a tax ID and they'll see a name of the owner under there, or who's ever who's paying a mortgage. They'll see their name there, and then once they have the name of that person, then they do a search for the name and a phone number listing. That I've never signed up to have my phone number listed anywhere on the internet. I've never said, okay, here's my phone number, just put it out, make it available on a search engine. Here's my name. If someone types my name in, my phone number will come in, because they know the town I live in. They know my first name, my surname, they know the town I live in, and they know my street address. So they just type that in, and my phone number is there. Somehow they're able to get my phone number. And I ask them, who are you? Have I met? Have we met? Do I know you? And they just say, well, we're interested in such and such and such a business proposition for you. Are you interested? And I'm saying, well, someone close and dear to me that I knew for a long time just died in front of me in my house. After knowing them for 30 years, you just all of a sudden one day they're dead and they're gone, and you're like really lonely and you miss them, and you have pictures of them and you cry and you think about them, you think about all the good times you had and all the fun things you did and everything, all the wonderful, nice, pleasant moments you had with that person, and they're gone, never to come back again. You'll never see them again. And it's like, well, I'm going through a period right now. I'm not interested in doing really any serious business deals right now. But in the future, I could be interested in that the proposition that they're putting forward to me. I could be interested in that in the future, but right now I'm not interested in that. I have too much personal issues happening in my brain that are like overwhelming my, like, okay, it's like my whole part of my brain was revolved around that person for all that time of my lifetime, and now that part of my brain is like it's been ripped out. And then it's like I feel like I'm like really, 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 really small. I feel like I'm in this really tiny little square room, and I'm looking up at the walls, and they're really huge, and they go out really far. I'm looking up, and I feel like I'm shrinking, getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller in the scheme of things. Like I'm the incredible shrinking man. And there's no one here to talk to. So I'm glad there's this thing I can use. I can just turn it on and start talking, and presume that, oh, I hear someone knocked at my door, knock, 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 and I went up and I opened the door, and there's a couch in the room here with me, another couch, and they're sitting over there at the couch, and they're just listening to me and they're watching me, and I've invited them into my home. So in a way, that's kind of the way I look at this. But then what happens is I make these really long videos because I feel like talking a lot, and it should be I just should go like 10 minutes, or and keep the length of the video shorter, because I'm what is it? The people think they're smarter than they really are. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, or the Dunning-Kruger syndrome. It's where someone's like, if I'll give you an example. If they seem like maybe they took like one college class in a subject, right? And they're really egotistical, and they're bragging about how much they know about this one subject, how they're experts in it, but they've just taken one college class in it, one semester, and then they'll brag about it, and they'll make it seem like they really know what they're talking about, but they really don't. Because someone that's really knowledgeable about the subject, that understands it really well, studied that particular subject specifically for a long period of time, and knows it inside and out from beginning to end, from cover to cover, and they always keep up with the latest of what's happening in that field. Somebody like that will come along, and they'll find this other person that's blah 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 talking blah 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 blah, and they'll be a critical thinker, right? And they'll like critically think about what that person says, and they're just totally discount that person's credibility. Yeah, they're full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about, because the person that's really an expert in it comes along, and they find out that they're just this person really making up. They're just talking nonsense. They don't really understand the subject. So there's a lot of people on here that they're really smart, and they know one subject really super well. I mean, they're totally expert in that one field, And then when someone comes along and they're just babbling, and they mention that somehow they say something and they're wrong, they're in error about what they've said. So they've spoken they've misinformed the people because they said it like that was true and it really wasn't. So they lied, but they didn't really lie intentionally. It was an accidental lie. I don't know, they weren't maybe using, they weren't very eloquent, so they didn't know how to speak very clearly to people. Like, take a typical example would be someone is an employee, and they go to their job, and then they have a meeting with their boss and their coworkers, and people look at them like, and they say, I didn't understand what you said. Could you repeat yourself? I didn't understand you. I wasn't clear to me what you just said. And they'll say, I'm sorry, we're not talking about that right now. We're only discussing this and this and this at the meeting right now. Or they immediately say, no, that's a stupid idea. We're going on to something else now. So there's a lot of bantering about back and forth, um like and then then they tell you, be quiet. You had your time talking. Now it's this person's turn to talk. So it's like they reprimand you in front of everybody else. So it's like it would be better if the meeting could be conducted and they would know that it would know beforehand, what do you want from me? What do you want me to talk about at the meeting? I'm only talking to you about my job, what I do every day. I'm not outstepping. I'm not overgoing past my bounds of, this is my pigeonhole, and I'm only supposed to stay within the boundary of my pigeonhole. And it's always like, for the slightest thing, people are very critical of you, and they're very judgmental of you. Either you had bad breath, or you had body odor, or your shirt had a tear in it, or you were coming in late all the time. So it pisses them off when you come in late every day. Even though it's like it doesn't make any difference. I mean, if you started an hour later or 45 minutes earlier, then what difference does it make if the kind of work you're doing is something you could just do all by yourself, use a computer and you and the network and the software, and that would be like, you would spend like 90% of your day just doing that, just doing tasks that involve software, using a computer, not really communicating too much with the other people in the office. Now, it was like I always felt like the work that I was given by my superiors was always the work that everyone else had turned down. So I always felt my tasks were, someone else was, that's beneath me. I won't do that. That's beneath me. And so they gave that work to me. And I always felt like that there, and always felt too like I was in a lower class of people. Like they wanted to make me think that I wasn't in their club. I didn't belong to their group. I wasn't adept at my knowledge of the business or the industry enough for them to think I was any more value than just sitting at my desk all day and using 5 different pieces of software and a network, and just copy paste, save, 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 open, close, exit, open, run, open file, bloom, copy paste, select, copy, reduce, enlarge, highlight, make, increase the contrast, lower the contrast, make it darker, make it brighter, make the lines heavier, make the balloons bigger sizes and the call outs, and and all the things that you think about when you look at technical illustrations, right? If you have a really big piece of machinery, let's say an airplane, and you have a manual, and the manual shows all the different parts of the plane, every part, the